Hi guys, so this is an update on all my big specimens of Hoyas, starting with my Finlay Sonya. After its recovery, it's doing awesome. All these velvety leaves are so awesome to the touch, and I'm loving the feel of it. There's so many up top, and what I've discovered are the peduncles. There are so many left, like 6 or 7, and I've tagged them. There's one over here, and there's one over here behind that root, and there's so many on the other side. Here you can see, and at the bottom also. So I tidied this up further by strapping in the vines to the trellis further. That gave it a more more of a very neat look. And still there are leaves which are growing inside and bent also. That's the way it would be. The vines will do what they want, but you have to inspect it and clear it to stay out where it can reach sun. So otherwise it will look like they are mutated and they'll grow mangled up. See, there's another leaf which has grown stuck into the vines. It almost looks like mutated because of fertilizer. So once they harden, you cannot actually correct it without breaking it. This is my Hoya, it's doing fine, and the trellis seems to be like at its last stage. It's broken from inside. This obviously needs a much more stronger pole, and I will give something like this, right? And this is my Hoya Natalie. What I need to tell you about this is I kept flushing this, and now it's okay, but as you know, this is the leaf of the cutting I got, right? And this cutting is like the leaf is still remaining, but after the repot this yellowed, and this yellowed even further. Now you might not see, I will insert footage if I have, right? It's greening up. I think I did this video earlier which I forgot so many information, so I'm redoing this today. And it's the 4th of July, just after my son's birthday. He turned 19 yesterday. He's a big boy now, and he's the love of my life. So now they are recovering, all these leaves. Of course, the smaller vines did not have any setbacks other than the new leaf dropping from here, so that's okay. When that happens, don't worry, because the roots will have to get used to the new setup, because it was taken out of its old pot, cleaned and rerouted into the same mix of media. However, the roots still had to get used to the new surrounding and grab onto the media. So therefore this would obviously go into a kind of a transplant shock period. That's where this leaf fell, because the vine will have to first strengthen up the bottommost leaves, right? That's why this greened up, then only this started greening up. So Hoyas will always recover, not like orchids, right? In a magnesium deficiency or in a dehydrated situation, it can strengthen up. It can change its green color, but it would not be able to do if there's a lot of damage to the plant. But not in a Hoya. We can always recover a Hoya. Here what I did was I kept flushing this and emptying the reservoir, right? So there was ample amount of water and fertilizer going into the roots as well as drying out, right? And the roots are still not hitting the bottom, so therefore even if a bit of water is left is fine, right? Because when the humidity strikes, this will all evaporate up because of its capillary activity, right? So this really is doing fine now. I can safely say it's out of the woods now, because the leaves are starting to point towards the sun, right? So still there are some leaves which do not, they might remain like that also because of a bend that happened here, right? Because of not a break not a bend like a break, but just a small bend because of the heaviness of this leaf and the lifelessness of the upper part of the vines, because it's getting hold of its new media, right? So that's common. So any plant will be strengthening up from the bottom and upwards, right? Therefore it will at the same time absorb all energy from other leaves, mainly from bottom leaves, to if this leaf is too old, this would have died off because the strength of it has been pulled off towards the other parts, the leaves, the stems of this vine. So that can happen. That is up to the plant. What you can do is to provide it with the optimum qualities that you can provide, right? And be vigilant if you want to save your plant, because a transplant shock can take out a plant, right? It's according to the magnitude of the shock it receives. So we wouldn't know that because the plant cannot speak to us, but by examining your plant only you will be able to understand how your plant is doing. The signs would be lightening color of the green or yellowing leaves, lifeless vines, right, like that. So when I repotted this, I told you the new leaf might drop off. That is very common in Hoyas. That actually happened, but the plant is fine because when it gets its bearings, it will obviously leaf out and it would be fine, right? So that's the update on my Hoya Natalie. I also have to tell you that I repotted my Hoya Quinca Nervia into a new pot because the vines were full on the top, and you saw in the highlight video that it was looking for places to grab onto, but it wasn't finding any ground. So it was on the air and the vine was getting longer and longer but not leafing out than the two latest leaves. So now it's fine. It has ample height to reach, right? This is the tallest trellis I have, right? And this would do, because this pole, although it's in a total correct semi-hydro setup, but with charcoal and lava rock, it's not reaching the reservoir, right? The pole is ending somewhere here, and the drainage hole is somewhere here over the other side. So therefore it's kind of like safe, right? Because what I did at first was, when I pulled it out of the media and put it into this, I put it with the media it came with, because it was charcoal and lava rock. I didn't need to, like, uproot everything from the media that it's hanging onto, but just dump it onto this pot, right, with the media itself, because there was no problem in the roots. The two main vines were doing fine. They're doing excellent. They had a very extensive root structure. So I just have to insert this. I almost thought it might not be enough for the roots, but there is room to grow to the bottom. So therefore they will find their way somewhere, somehow, because anyway these will be reaching out to the water, right? So there are 4 vines, if you know from the Hoya highlight video. I have added both 4 vines in separate corners, so they will have space to grow individually, right, and absorb the nutrients individually without the 2 main vines absorbing everything that is given, right? So this also will start pointing upwards. This has been repotted closer to 2 weeks ago, so it should be fine. There was no dieback except for a few vines drying at the top, right? These were the most sensitive vines, so these would obviously go off because those were the newest. So therefore they are the most sensitive, right? And my Hoya pentaflabia it's like doing its normal thing, right? Leafing out, and the leaves are getting bigger, the 2 new leaves, and there's one on top also, which actually was bent into this trellis. I slowly pulled it out when it was soft. Still it's soft, so it has to grow out, right? And my Savia Jennifer is going wild, so now I have to slowly tuck this in an upward fashion somewhere over here. This would be the next to be retrellised, but I'm not gonna touch this until I get a very different type of a trellis DIY'd by myself. Then I will go ahead and do it, right? And this is doing awesome. This is my Densifolia, and it's budding up as always. Can you see? So this is a frequent bloomer, right? That's what I've understood about this plant. And yellowing leaves like this is fine. I've added the cocoa husk on top, as I've told you, because at my highlight video I told you, and you saw there were brick pieces on top, and these brick pieces was taken out. And when I got more cocoa husk, when I did the repotting of my Hoya Sunrise, I had an excess amount of store-bought cocoa husk, so I used it on top, and the pieces are removed. So from bottom, this is just water, do not worry about the white patches. So from the bottom, the bottommost layer is the lava rock, and then the whole thing is cocoa husk, and it's doing fine, right? So one leaf yellowing like this is totally okay, because it's getting used to its new media. Okay, so this plant is already used to cocoa husk. It was in cocoa husk, right? So therefore the diebacks or the transplant shock, it would phase would be very minimal, right? You have to watch out if you are totally giving it different media like lava rock or charcoal. Then you have to watch out, because when a vine is used to one type of media, the transplant shock will be hardest, but vigorous growth habit like this would certainly survive, even if I transfer this to a semi-hydro setup in the future. One more thing I have to tell you, there are not many drainage holes here. There are some, as the bottom is full of drainage holes, but I have to take a soldering iron to this, which I have not still got around to, and give it some more air holes from around. And okay, the incrustata is doing the same. It's like leafing out and bigger as always, and it's in a semi-hydro setup. So yesterday what I did was, yesterday and day before, all of the reservoirs remained empty, right? Today only I watered and gave it some more water, because we were expecting heavy rain. If you heard now, there's a heavy wind going around, so we were expecting so much of rain, but it didn't happen. So I quickly went ahead and gave some water today, and my obscura has been repotted, and it's been a week since it's been repotted into the same leca. I just renewed the leca and it's doing fine, right? I tidied up the trellis also. So this and CV Jennifer would be the next to be retrellised, but I definitely need a new idea. If I do not get a new idea only, I would go for one of these. Incrustata can stay in the same trellis for a few more months. I mean, actually an year it can survive here, because there's still a lot of ground to cover on the trellis as well as in the media. This media is very, very airy, right? But the trellis is you know, kind of degrading now. That's because it's thicker than the other normal sized cane I have. This is kind of surviving still, right? So it's doing fine. It's in lava rock, charcoal, and there are some seashells also, which is not like, you know, important, but I've just added them because I had some lying around. Okay, so oyster shells or seashells, if you're adding crushed or whatever, make sure they are boiled, or you have to boil them yourself and add them, because before adding anything, even leca, you have to boil and get the excess mineral or salts out of the media. Otherwise you will experience root burn, right? That's a definite thing. Root burn because of salts or any impurity that the plant is not used to, right? And all the others are doing fine. I will end the update video from here, guys. As you can see, everything is doing fine. There are still more highlight videos and another part of my Hoya collection to come, but I will get to them sometime later. I hope everyone's doing good and happy. I'll be back with another video. If you have any requests, please let me know, right? If you need to know about anything in depth, please let me know. I will do a video. Thank you for your time, guys. I hope you enjoyed my video. I always love your comments and that you're liking my videos. Have a great day. God bless you all. Bye.